Hello friends, welcome you all to my channel. This video is part of the playlist Python Basics Programming Beginners Daily Dose, where I come up with videos on fundamental concepts of Python so that beginner level Python developers will get an insight of how things work in Python behind the scenes. In this video I will discuss about the while else statement. In the previous video I discussed about how we can use the else clause with the for loop. If you have not watched that video, I highly suggest you please first watch that video and then you can continue to watch this video. This video is about how we use the else clause with the while loop statement. So let's get started. Okay, so the basic structure of the while else statement is that we have the while statement, the while block, where we have a while and a condition, and inside the while we have some list of statements that we want to perform, and in the else clause we have another list of statements that we want to perform. Now, the else clause will be executed only when the condition of the while becomes false. So, but otherwise, so the while loop has to terminate, because if condition is always true, then it will run into an infinite loop. So the moment the condition becomes false, the iteration will fall back to the else part, and it will execute the statement inside the else clause. But so let's say I'm taking a very simple example to explain the structure. Let's say I have while true, of course this will run into problem. Let's say while false, print false, and then let's say print false. Print false, and this will be true. Of course, in the first iteration only the condition will be false, and it will go to else clause and it will print false. So the statement, the while the iteration will not happen. Not a single iteration of the while loop will happen. So if I run this code, you see it will print false. Now, if for some reason in your code, if you break the file, if you break the while statement, the while loop using a break statement, then it will not fall back to the else part. It will simply, the whole while loop iteration will end, and the else part will not be executed. So if I draw this, then it will only print true once. So this is the basic idea. If you terminate the while loop with a break statement inside, then immediately the whole while iteration will terminate, will end, and the else part will not be executed. But the else part will only be executed when the while loop gets terminated, only because the condition was evaluated to false. Now let's try to apply this concept in a little small example. Let's say I have written a function which tests whether a given input number is a perfect square or not. It's a very basic implementation. Let's say we are given a list where some numbers are perfect squares and some are not. Let's say we have this list, and we are to find and print the first number from this list which is not a perfect square. So obviously the answer will be 20 from this example A list. So using the while loop and the else, we can implement like this. If we use while, we have to take a a variable that will to track the position. So let's say I, that the position of the iteration, the position of the elements of in the list, it will start from 0, and we do while I less than a, I list. And remember that the way we are trying to solve this problem is that in the else part, I want to fall back to the else part only when there is a number which is not a perfect square. So meaning over here it should print that a list I is the first number which is the first number which is not a perfect square. So obviously the while condition, whatever condition we want to use, that condition will be false only when we have found that the current item, that is a list square bracket I, is not a perfect square. So if I implement the while loop as like this, while I less than length of a list, because we cannot go beyond the list, and not is the condition has to be false. So and is perfect square. If we do this, if we do this while, and obviously inside the while loop we have to increment the index variable. If we do this, what will happen? It will iterate over all the elements. When it will come to this position, that is 20, then this is true, and this becomes false. This becomes false, so it will go will fall back to else part, and we will have is the first number which is not a perfect square. So let's try to run this, and we see that 20 is the first number which is not a perfect square. Fine, but what if all the numbers were perfect squares? All the numbers were perfect squares, and so we will eventually find no such number which is not a perfect square. So in that case, this will always be false, always be true, and the while condition, the entire while condition, this thing will be false only because of this. Now, if this is the condition which is making the while false, then obviously this means that we have not found a single element which is not a perfect square, but it will since the condition of the while statement is evaluated to false, it will fall back to else part, and we will print R list A is the first number which is not a perfect square, which will be an incorrect result, and also by that time I will give index out of bound. So if we run this, we see that list index out of range, obviously because I has become, how many elements are there? 1 2 3 4. I has become 4. This is the first problem, and also it is saying that a number has been found which is not a perfect square, because the problem is that we have to make sure, we have to be very clear about which condition is making the while false. So what we can do is that we remove this part from the while condition, so that we know the while condition is false only because only because number has been found in the list which is not a perfect square. Now this is fine as long as there is a number in the list which is not a perfect square. We can check it again and see. So 20 is the first number which is not a perfect square, but if there is no such number, what we can do, we can check over here that if I greater than equals to length a list, then we break. If we do this and for this list there is no perfect square number, so eventually it will reach this condition that I will be greater than equals to length a list, and it will break. And it will break meaning the whole while else statement will come to an end, and it will reach at this point where there is no code, so nothing will happen. So this code should not print anything. Okay. So this was a very basic overview of how while else works. The principle behind the reason, the condition when the else clause is executed. It is executed when the condition of the while statement is false, and if for some reason inside the while loop, if you terminate the while loop with the break statement, then the else part will never be executed. That is all for this video. In the next video, I will try to explain the else clause, how you can use the else clause with the try statement. So with the try except statement, you already must be familiar that it is used for writing code which can possibly throw exception, and you try to catch that exception with the try except syntax, and also you do a final code cleanup inside the final clause. But in that try statement, you can also have an else clause, which I will discuss in the next video. Thanks for watching, and if you are watching my videos regularly and not yet subscribed, I will highly request you to please support me by subscribing to my channel, and like this video if this video was beneficial to you, and share my videos with your friends, and also do not forget to press the bell icon so that you will be notified by my future videos whenever I upload them. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, take care and bye.